Hi guys, so today we're going to be reviewing word problems, so please feel free to pause the video to take your notes or rewind. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. So number one says, Selena Gomez gym membership costs $180 to sign up and then charges $6 for each visit. So I'm going to go ahead and start underlining or highlighting keywords that I think are going to help me solve this problem. So I think that $180 to sign up is going to help me. And then in addition to that, charges $6 for each visit. And then Demi Lovato's gym membership costs $160 to sign up and then charges $8 for each visit. At how many visits will they have spent the same amount of money? All right, so that word same right there, that is our key word. Same means that it is equal, right? So we know that we're going to have to come up with some equation and we're going to set them equal to each other. So I'm going to start with Selena's membership. It says that she pays $180 just to sign up. Okay, so that's a one-time pay. And then in addition to that, she has to pay $6 for every time she visits. Do we know how many times she visits? No, we don't. So that is X, that is our missing variable. I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to Demi Lovato's gym membership. And she pays $160 just to sign up. That is our constant, okay? That is not being changed no matter what. And then in addition to that, she has to pay $8 for each visit. Again, we don't know how many times she visits, so that is our X. So now that we have our equation set up, we have to find X, right? So that means that all of my X's are going to go to one side and all of my numbers will go to the other side. So I can start by either moving the 6X to the right or I can move the 8X to the left. It doesn't really matter. You will still get the same answer, right? I'm just going to go ahead and move the 8X because I'm used to it. So the way that I move it, I do the opposite of that plus 8X, which is minus 8X. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Notice how I subtracted 8X to the 6X and not to the 180 because variables go with variables and numbers go with numbers, okay? So you cannot subtract 180 minus 8X. You can only do it with the same variables. So then I'm left with 180. 6X minus 8X reduces to minus 2X or negative 2X. And then I bring down my 160. Now I have all of my X's on one side. Now I need to get all of my numbers to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that 180. What is the opposite of positive 180? Well, that is negative 180. 180 minus 180 reduces to 0. And then I have to do it to the other side as well. Then I'm left with negative 2X. Don't forget about your signs, okay? And then 160 minus 180 is negative 20. Now, I almost have all of the numbers on one side. I still have to get rid of that negative 2, right? So we have to evaluate the operation that's being used here. Well, that is negative 2 times X, right? It means that it's being multiplied when there's nothing in between that 2 and that X. So that means that to undo that multiplication and move it to the other side, I have to divide by negative 2. Again, don't forget your negatives or your signs, okay? So negative 2 divided by negative 2, that reduces to 1. So I'm left with X is equal to negative 20 divided by negative 2 reduces to positive 10. Now, to check if I did this correctly, I can go ahead and plug in my X to the original equation that I set up and see if I get a true statement. So instead of writing X right here, I'm going to put parentheses and I'm going to plug in my 10. All right, and same thing to the other side. Oh, whoopsie. All right, plug in that 10. And then I bring down my 180. 6 times 10 is positive 60. And then 160, bring it down. And then 8 times 10 is positive 80. So 180 plus 60, well, that gives me 240. And then 160 plus 80, that gives me also 240. Is 240 equal to 240? Yes, it is. This is a true statement. That means that My X is correct. If you, whenever you go back and plug it in, you get different answers like, I don't know, like 1 is equal to 3 or something, then you did something wrong. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, actually, I forgot. We have number 2 over here. So let me go ahead and erase this so we have more space. All right, so for this problem, they tell us Beyonce's fish tank holds 180 gallons of water and is leaking at a rate of 8 gallons per day. Jay-Z's fish tank holds 160 gallons of water and is leaking at a rate of 6 gallons per day. At how many days will the 2 fish tanks have the same amount of water in them? So again, we have that keyword same. We said previously that same means that they're equal to each other. So that means that we're going to do the same thing as problem 1. We're going to find keywords and make up an equation out of them, and we're going to set them equal to each other and find the missing variable. So 180 is the gallons of water that Beyonce's fish tank holds, right? So that is the constant. That is not changing. It holds that no matter what. And is leaking at a rate of 8 gallons per day. Leaking means that it's losing water. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 8 gallons per day. Well, we don't know how many days are going by. So that is our missing variable. That is our X. We're going to set that equal to, and now Jay-Z's fish tank holds 160 gallons of water. So 160 no matter what, that's our constant. And it's also leaking, so it's losing, so it's subtracting at a rate of 6 gallons per day. We don't know how many days, so that is our missing variable. Now I can go ahead and start finding X, right? So like I said before, number 1, we're going to have to move all the X's to one side and all the numbers to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this negative 6x. Okay, I'm going to move it to the left side. So how do I do that? Well, I add 6x because I'm doing the opposite of whatever sign it has in front. This reduces to 0. And then I add 6x over here. So I get that 180. Negative 8 plus 6x reduces to negative 2x is equal to 160. Now I have all of my x's on one side. Now I need to get all of my numbers to the other side. So I'm going to start with 180. What is the opposite of positive 180? Well, that is negative 180. 180 minus 180 reduces to 0. And then I have negative 2x is equal to 160 minus 180 reduces to negative 20. I divide by negative 2 on both sides. The reason I divide it is because we're trying to undo the operation. This is negative 2 times x. So to undo that and get that x by itself, I need to divide. So negative 2 divided by negative 2, well, that reduces to 1. And I'm left with x is equal to 10. If you want to go ahead and check if we did it right, you can go ahead and go back and plug that x into the original equation right here and right here. And if this number and this number give you the same thing, then that means you did it right. All right. For the next one, it says Justin Bieber's sandcastle is 180 centimeters tall. So that's our keyword right there, right? We're going to need that. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that 180 centimeters tall, but when the wind is blowing away sand at rate of 8 centimeters per minute. So if it's blowing away, that means that it's taken away, right? We're subtracting. And then Taylor Swift's sandcastle is 160 centimeters tall, and she is adding sand to it at a rate of 6 centimeters per minute. After how many minutes will their sandcastles be the same? There goes our keyword again, same. So again, same means that they're equal. So we're going to have to come up with 2 equations and set them equal to each other. So let's start with Justin Bieber. So his sandcastle is 180 centimeters tall. So that is the constant. That is not changing. It's a fact that it's 180 centimeters tall. But when the wind is blowing it blows away at a rate of 8 centimeters per minute. So that means that it's taking away because it's blowing away at 8 centimeters per minute. We don't know how many minutes are going by, so that is our missing variable. That is our x. Now we're gonna do Taylor Swift. So her sandcastle is 160 centimeters tall. That is a constant. And she is adding to her sandcastle. So she adds at a rate of 6 centimeters per minute. We don't know how many minutes are going by, so that is our x. All right, so now that we have our equation set up, we can go ahead and start solving for x, right? So that means that all of my x's are going to go on one side and all of my numbers will be on the other side. So I'm going to start with 6x. So what is the opposite of positive 6x? Well, that is negative 6x. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Then I have 180. And then negative 8x minus 6x reduces to negative 14x. And then we say equal to, we just bring down that 160. So now that we have all of our x's on the left side, I have to move all of my numbers to the right side, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start with that 180. That is positive 180. So I do the opposite, which is negative 180 or minus 180 on both sides. This reduces to 0, and I'm left with negative 14x is equal to negative 20. And then now I only have that negative 14 on the left side, right? So how do I move that to the right side? Well, this is negative 14 times x, so I need to undo that multiplication operation. What is the opposite of multiplying? Well, that is dividing. So I'm going to divide by negative 14 on this side and negative 14 on this side. So this reduces to 1, and I'm left with x is equal to, and we have to simplify here. All right, so then that simplifies to positive 10 over 7. And you can see how I got that over here. If you put it in your calculator, if you have one, you'll get the same answer, or you can just do it by hand. So then these just reduce, and I was left with 10 over 7. So then this is our final answer. Don't be afraid of fractions. You're going to get them. And if you're not sure about your answer, again, you can go back and plug in your x and see if you get the same thing. All right, so number 4 says, Fall Out Boy spent $180 to build a pumpkin pie stand and sells pumpkin pies for $8 each. One Direction spent $160 to build their pumpkin pie stand and sells pumpkin pies for $6 each. How many pies would have to be sold in order for them to have the same amount of money? All right, so already looking at some of these keywords, I know that I'm going to have some negatives here, right? So it says Fall Out Boy spent $180. So if he's spending money, that means he's losing $180. So I'm going to have a negative 180, okay? And it says that he sells his pumpkin pies for $8 each. So $8 each. We don't know how many pumpkin pies he's selling, right? So that is our variable. That is our x. And we're going to subtract 180 because that is our constant, and he is spending that much money no matter what, right? We're going to set that equal to, same thing over here with One Direction. They spend $160 to build their pumpkin pie stand, and then they sell them for $6 each. We don't know how many they're selling, so that is our x. And we subtract 160 because they're spending $160 just to build their pumpkin pie stand. And now we can go ahead and solve for x. So again, move all of your x's to one side and all of your numbers to the other side. So in this case, I'm going to move my positive 6x, and I'm going to do minus 6x because that is the opposite. So 6x minus 6x reduces to 0. And 8 minus 6, well, that is just 2. And then bring your variable with it. Bring everything else down. Don't forget about your negatives, okay? You always want to write down the sign that is in front of your number. Now, I have all of my x's on one side. Now I need to get all of my numbers to the other side. So I'm going to start with that negative 180. Well, what's the opposite of negative 180? Plus 180. All right, so then that leaves me with 2x is equal to negative 160 plus 180. Well, that is just positive 20. And then I have 2 times x is equal to 20. Well, I want to get rid of that 2 on the left side so that I can get my x by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and divide because they're multiplying, right? We're doing that operation. 2 divided by 2 reduces to 1, and I'm left with x is equal to 10. If you want to go ahead and check your answers, you can. Please let your teachers know if you still have any questions on this, okay? And that's it for this video. I'm going to do the next one on a separate video.